Lottie Foden, welcome to the heart of it.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So tell us about you. How did you arrive in this seat? I mean, don't tell me so I drove down the A, whatever. How did you turn up in this seat today?
I started my career in property as a letting agent, and over the space of 9 years, I've built it up, and I've gone from an unconfident 19-year-old to a more confident 28-year-old, and now I've got my own letting agency. I do a lot on social media, and that's how we connected.
Yeah, I saw you. I think I saw you walking down a driveway in a video, like almost like a tour of a property, but you look professional. You got like high level, it looks like high quality content. And I was intrigued. It's probably the reason. And I was like, oh, this is looking interesting. And then I think I saw you. I must have seen you connected with certain people that I know. Mm-hmm. Like you've been up at Jordan's place and Ryan's in Seven Studios in Doncaster. Then I saw you at another studio doing education stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was like, there's a map here, and you're like somehow connected.
I am here, there, and everywhere. That's due to me just wanting to flood my socials and get my name out there, get my business up and running. I've not spent £1 on marketing for my business. It is all through me and what I do and my personal brand. So I was saying earlier that I'm saying yes to everything, every opportunity, even if it scares the life out of me, because it puts me in situations that, like today, for example, where I'd be nervous and potentially would and ah about whether to come. Whereas I've just said yes, driven here and not thought any more about it. And I'm here and it's brilliant and I'm having a great time.
What caused you to start this Say Yes to Anything?
I've watched a lot of other people that I know, especially in property, be unsure about where they want to go or what they're doing, and they stay stuck. I don't have the luxury of being able to stay stuck.
What do you mean by that?
I've quit my job to run my business. I started it with $3,000. Everybody tells you that you need 50k to start a lettings business because it just churns through money. I started it with $3,000. I quit my job. I have no other choice than making it work. I don't want to stay stuck. I can't. So I've got to make it work.
So you're a 19-year-old working in lettings.
Mm-hmm.
Before you get to that part, where were you born? What's your kind of background, childhood like? Tell me about that.
So I was born in Stafford. That's where I still live. I've got both my parents and an older sister who's 7 years older than me. My sister followed my mum's side of the family and went into teaching. So all of my mum's side of the family are teachers, head teachers. My dad's side of the family are all electrical engineers. So naturally, I went into electrical engineering out of school. Childhood was good. I didn't get on with my parents. I had a bit of a rough relationship with them, should I say. And it has only been, I'd say, the last year that I've properly connected with them and have a parent-daughter relationship, whereas before I was very independent.
What caused that then? So, what caused that then?
So my parents had a few issues. I'd prefer not to say what. Mm-hmm. They are lovely people, but they made a few wrong decisions, and that led to a very fractured relationship growing up. So I essentially grew up with parents, but they weren't mother figure, father figure to me as such, and it made me very independent. I knew I was loved, but I didn't have the typical love that most people would get. I was sort of left to it. They'd pay for me to do things, so they put me into scouts, they sent me horse riding, they paid for me to go on whatever summer camp I wanted to go on, but I wouldn't hug my parents. I wouldn't talk to them, tell them what was wrong. So it was almost like a housemate scenario. I was living in one bit of the house on my own growing up, and they were in the other. But
were they wealthy?
I wouldn't say wealthy, but well off through inheritance. But my dad worked very hard. So my dad was an engineer, and he worked relentless night shifts, 7 days a week, worked really, really hard. But we're very lucky that we've had money come from their parents and before. So we went from living on a really nice sort of housing estate in your typical 3-bed semi to moving out to the countryside and living in a little village in the middle of nowhere. And that's where we both are. So I've actually only moved next door to them, but we're both still there today. Yeah.
Interesting. What was your sister's relationship like with them?
As far as I'm aware, I'm not close to my sister either. Absolutely fine. She experienced the same issues that I did, but with her being 7 years older, she moved out quicker, got away from it all. I was kind of left in this little village with my parents and I couldn't get away from them. I passed my test as soon as I possibly could so I could go out and drive. But before that, I was sort of stuck with them in an uncomfortable position. Whereas my sister managed to move out, buy a house and sort of get away from it a lot sooner. So I don't think her relationship was quite as bad because she was more mature and didn't suffer it as long, I would say.
So then you got out, you got your driving test, you got out, and then what got you into lettings?
Complete accident. I was just looking for a job. I was bored of engineering, sort of. A lot of people were saying the industry is dying. They're not taking on any more apprentices. I was an apprentice at the time and our jobs were a little bit unstable. And with my dad being in the same industry, he actually worked for the same company, but a different power plant, but they were across the road from each other. So he got a little bit of insight to say there might be jobs going. So he said to me, get out whilst you can. I didn't know what I wanted to do because I didn't do A-levels. I didn't go to uni. All I'd done was this apprenticeship in electrical engineering. So you can't really go very far with that. So somebody just said there's a job going at this corporate estate agents. Give it a go. It'll pay your bills whilst you figure out what you want to do. And I've never looked back. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I just thought I'd be showing people around houses. It's a lot crazier than that, but I really enjoy it. I've never looked back.
So you started working there at 19. What kind of pay is that?
A basic of 14 grand.
Wow.
And then I'd probably say over the year, maybe 2 grand in commission. I only just hit minimum wage. And some months my commission wouldn't be enough to hit minimum wage. So the company would have to top it up. Yeah. And
so then how long was it that you were doing that before you went out on your own?
That's a great question. I was employed doing that for 7 years.
So you're employed for 7 years from 19, so 26, 25?
Yes.
And then what happened? On the same kind of money, or was that going up? And
it went up. So initially at the start, I got promoted a lot. So I worked for corporate estate agents. So it was easy to get a promotion, but not a pay rise that goes with it. So they'd give you the title, but not necessarily a bigger basic. And there was loads of politics involved. And so I probably left that estate agents. My basic, I would say, I'd only made it up to about 18 grand at that point. And my commission was maybe sort of 6 grand over the year. So it still wasn't a lot. And then when I jumped to an independent estate agents, that's when the pay got better because the staff were more valued.
What is the difference between a corporate and then a standard letting agent then?
Very, very simply, corporate is all about money and targets. And independent is all about money and customer satisfaction. So customers first, staff first, the culture. I would say working for the estate agents, the corporate one that I did, it was like being in a cult.
Has that experience, sounds probably negatively impacted your method of behaviour in business, but has it also positively impacted the way you approach business now you've gone out on your own? Absolutely.
I wouldn't change it. If anything, I would go back and soak it in even more than I did. They provided me with brilliant training. So although the culture was very hard to live in, the training was second to none. It's also taught me to value your staff. I've been in situations where I've not felt valued. I've not put 100% in. I'm not paid enough to even make it to work. I travelled from Stafford to Stoke every day, which is a motorway junction. So it's about half an hour, 40 minutes. And I remember I made just enough to put fuel in my car to get to work. I didn't have nice holidays or anything like that. So as I've gone to manage a team, so when I moved to the independent estate agents, that's when I started to manage a team. And I really valued every single one of them. I always worked on the basis of, if you need to leave 5 minutes early, if you need to take your cat to the vets, it's fine. Always ask, don't assume. That was my rule. Always ask, don't assume, but the answer is always yes. And they still stay in touch with me. They still help me. And that's probably the biggest thing I've learned, is how to treat people and how to respect people, because I was not respected at that corporate estate agents.
Interesting. So then you were at the independents for how long? Well, how long were you an independent estate agent before then you went? So we're 25, 26.
Yeah.
7 years, 25, 26.
Yeah.
Now you're 28.
Yes.
So 2 years. Mm-hmm. How much of that 2 years have you been out on your own then?
So I set my business up 18 months ago, but I sort of just had it sat waiting in the background. And then I actually quit my job about a year ago. So I've been doing it full time for a year. So
you went from 25 grand a year-ish, 24 grand a year salary-ish, well, 18 and the bonuses.
Yeah. Yeah.
To then effectively zero.
Well, when I was at the independents, I earned a lot more in commission. So we took the lettings book from quite a small number up to quite a big number. We employed staff, and the more staff we got, the more business it generated. So I did very, very well there. When I quit my job, I was earning just shy of 50 grand a year.
Okay, that changes the risk.
It went up quite quickly.
So you got to 50 grand a year, which is obviously, good wages really, for most people's standards.
Especially in a estate agency as well. I have to stress that I was very lucky to be paid that.
Well, lucky plus you were bringing the money into the company to justify that.
Yeah, but still I know great estate agents that don't get paid what they deserve.
And so then you went out on your own to leave a 50 grand a year salary, especially when you're saying how lucky you were to get that. Mm-hmm. What was the thought process behind doing that?
So that wasn't the plan. The plan was to do it for another year, 18 months in full-time employment, save up, have a little nest egg sat at the side for anything goes wrong, or if I just didn't make it work. But my mental health just got to the point where I was so run into the ground by doing so much business and who I worked for at the time, that I remember calling my friend and saying, I can't do this anymore. I genuinely felt suicidal. And he said, quit your job. I said, I can't. So he knew about the lettings business. And he said, quit your job. I said, I can't. How am I going to pay my bills? And he said, I don't care. I'm not having you feeling like this. I will help you sort your situation out. Put everything into your keys, the lettings business. You will make it work. I believe in you. And that's the best thing I've ever done. The most petrifying thing I've ever done, but the best thing I've ever done.
Good friend.
Yes, very good friend.
So your good friend said to you, I'll help you get out of this situation.
Yeah.
Can't have you feeling like this. You did that. Tell me what it's like to walk into your own business on day one, 50 grand a year salary gone.
I was lost, completely lost, but I had a vision and a passion. I knew I was going to make it work. No idea how, because I'm a planner. I like to think, right, I'm going to do this at this time. This is how I'm going to do it. And it was a very uncomfortable situation to be in, where it's almost thrown upon you. But if anything, it made me work harder, because I thought, I've got no backup. I've got no income now. I have to make this work. And that's where the yes situation came in, where I thought, I've just got to put myself out there. And I'm surrounded by some brilliant people, like my friend I've just mentioned. And they said that the next few years, you're just going to absolutely graft, but you will make it work. And I've just taken their advice. I wake up every morning as early as I can, start work. I go to hundreds of networking events. I come and do podcasts, absolutely everything, because there's no way I'm not making this work.
So how do you make money at Your Keys?
Through growing the book. So that's units, which is houses.
So you own them, you rent them on other people's behalf, you sell them?
I let them and then I manage them on other people's behalf.
So I won't mention any brand names, but there's high street estate agents that people walk through and they see, X per month.
Yep.
If I owned a house and I wanted to let it out to a tenant, I'd ask one of the estate agents in town to do it, or I'd ask you.
Yeah, correct.
And then you get paid a fee for doing that.
Yeah, so we take a percentage of the rent.
How many, did you had none when you started? Or had you, because you'd obviously had it waiting for 18 months, did you have anything at all revenue-wise when you went, I'm leaving my job?
So yes, my friend that I mentioned, he has an Airbnb management company, and he had some landlords that were exiting serviced accommodation because it either wasn't as lucrative as they thought it would be, or with guests, you get a lot more maintenance. You get prostitutes. So some landlords that are sick of thinking they're having guests for a week when actually you end up kicking them out because they're not the right tenant profile. Don't forget, we're in the middle of Stoke and these are Airbnbs. So you do get all sorts of people staying in your properties. So they just they've tried serviced accommodation. It's not worked out for them. So they just wanted to put the property back to a normal standard single let. So he had some landlords that were looking to exit and he said, well, why don't you have them? It's not a conflict of interest because they're not from the job that you work at the moment. I'll help manage them whilst you work. And then they sort of grew very slowly, but we weren't spending any money on the business because I wasn't really running the business. It was just ticking over. So the management fees, the percentages coming in from those houses just grew over the year. And then when I came to quit, I was very fortunate that they'd grew up a little pot for me just to start things with. And it was scary. I've got to the point where I've had £5 in the business account and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And then a week later, all the money's made itself back again because the rents have come in, or I've let a new property. If I let new properties, I charge a setup fee. I do consulting as well. So if I advise other agents that aren't local or landlords that say manage their own properties, they don't necessarily always need an agent, but they need the advice. I charge for that as well. And the bank account it sort of swings and changes, but I think that's normal for any business.
What kind of consultancy do you do to landlords who don't necessarily need an agent but do need advice? What kind of advice would they need?
It is your typical letting agent advice, but it's landlords who, an example would be, I had a lady ring me the other day. I met her at a networking event and she'd asked for my advice on what system I use to keep on track of all my gas certs and when they're due. And I'm all for giving knowledge away. I don't gatekeep anything at all. There's enough chimneys to go round. So I was telling her and she said, I'm thinking of coming away from my agent. She says, I've got 20 single lets that I manage myself and I've quit my job to manage them myself. And they're nice and simple. But I've bought a couple of HMOs where they're slightly harder to manage. And it's just confidence. She knows exactly what she needs to do, but she wants somebody to look at it and check and say, you're doing the right thing, or tweak this or tweak that, which I quite happily was like, I'll just help you. It's not a problem. And she was like, no, I want you to coach me. I want to make this a thing. So it's those type of people where they're in the middle. They can do it themselves. They have got the knowledge, but they necessarily don't have the confidence, but they don't need to be paying 15% to an agent.
Yeah, it's a really interesting space that is, because I can imagine there's a lot of people who don't want to pay 15% because they don't need to.
Yeah.
And there's not a justification for that. But they do, like, it's a sounding board / somebody who's in the space who comes from a lettings background.
Yeah.
Like one you have, versus someone who's had a couple of houses, did Airbnb it, didn't really work out, did bridging finance, didn't really work that out, not really sure how that happened.
Yeah.
Because you know, because you're obviously in the space and passionate, young, really interested in it all.
I genuinely care. That's the thing. I don't do anything I say this all the time. I have landlords come up to me and they ask me for advice all the time, and I'll stand and I'll give it. And I'll say, I use this, I use that, use this system. And I think a lot of agents will stand there and gatekeep what they do because all they want
is fees,
is to get the managed units. And I'm thinking more long term, I can either just, as a person, help another person out. I get a lot of gratification for that. A lot of, it makes me happy to know I'm helping somebody. But also there's landlords out there that, yeah, okay, they manage their properties now. They're doing it full time and they might well do for the next 10 years. But when they want to move to America or when they want to retire, that's when they're going to look for an agent. They're not ready now. People have to be ready for an agent. And if you just nurture them, I would hope that they would think, oh, actually, you know what? Lottie gave me that advice. She didn't sell anything to me. She helped me. She's always on the end of the phone. I can always WhatsApp her. I'm sat here and I've got 40 unread WhatsApps and it's from landlords going, what do you think about this? Or what do you think? Can you help me with this? And as soon as I get in my car, I'll go through them all and answer them all because I get stressed if I don't reply to my messages. They're not actually my landlords, but I hope they will be. And that's how I've done a lot of my business is landlords going, actually, I think you can help me here. Maybe you can run, because a lot of people don't see property as a business. You'd be surprised.
I'm fully aware, yeah.
Or they don't run it as a business and it needs to be a business. Otherwise, you're going to end up selling it.
Yeah, because people say passive income and passive income is nonsense.
What is passive income? That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah, passive income is when if you sit with an investment portfolio and it just drops straight in, that's technically passive income, I think.
But it's just not that easy.
Well, you have to have enough to, it is easy. You just bang it in a Vanguard S&P.
Well, yeah.
But you have to have enough in there to make it worthwhile.
You've got to get there. Yeah.
So if you're trading, basically property really is, there's two types, well, more than two, there's probably two main types of property business. One is the sort of sat there in investment sort of, style.
Yeah.
And it's a trading business. What you're talking about, they're really trading their property business.
Yeah.
They're not just passing it off and just sitting and getting the check. They are actively involved in that trading business, as you quite rightly said. And it's a lot more work than people think.
Yeah.
I'm going to get rent to rent. I'm going to do this HMO. Swede Generous like bang. No, mate.
Or they do one of all of them and then they get stuck and none of them work. And it's like, pick one, do it well.
But then property gurus are like, front of the stage saying, go to the back of the stage, $299 for my course. And you're like...
Or a pound.
Or buy a deal for this. And you're like, all these things are, same as when people ask me about coaching funnels. I scaled coaching companies before. I know how to do it. And people always go, what funnel is the funnel? Like, it all works, just attention. Paid ads, funnels, and webinar this, and 5-day challenge that, and this thing. They all work, just will they work for your audience, your offer? And it doesn't just work on day one. You need to test and iterate and try and this, and they but you spend, you're like, it costs money to figure out the way. It's just a testing process.
Yeah.
But they think they're going to turn something on the first day and go, why am I not a millionaire?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
It's funny you mentioned the coaching. I sit in so many rooms where people have spent 30 grand on a course and they did the course 3 years ago and they've still not bought their first property.
Yeah, I wonder what that really is, because this is right, one of the things we're talking about pod first, right? I thought, what is the thing that actually stops people from getting where they want to go? Certainly not lack of information, because everyone knows how to lose weight, just eat less and move more. Yeah. Implementation is way harder than information.
Yeah.
And so first of all, you have to break down the information so people can understand it conceptually. That's like models and frameworks and systems. Then you have to then emotionally help them to get over themselves, the imposter stuff, the mindset. Again, I know how to do that stuff. I'm an NLP practitioner, coach, all the personal, but I like working with people who are already 80% the way there. Yeah. I don't really like taking people 20% up the mountain. I like to work with winners who are already winning. Win more, because I've got much more experience in that I've got a lot of experience on a lot of things, but the thing I enjoy the most is not helping the damsel in distress, essentially. I like to help people who are killing it, who just want to how do you then go expanding? Yeah, take it to the next level. Because that's why I get what you get in terms of the gratification and the enjoyment from that part. But then when we thought about Pod First, I was thinking, how do we remove the obstacles so there's just no excuse? Yeah. Whether that's from neurodiversity, concentration, they can't concentrate on a webinar for 90 minutes, or they can't keep up with consistency of personal branding content, or they get bored but excited but bored. How do we keep everything we build, like the 3-month cycles, come for one day? You can get motivated for one day, we'll do the rest. Yeah. That's amazing. I thought that's what I would have wanted. When I first paid for coaching content and all the different things, people, sold me things they didn't have to do. I've paid 30 grand, I've spent millions over my days on coaching, ads, funnels. A lot of it went in the bin. Obviously, a lot of it turns into a lot of money also. Yeah. But it is all the errors and all the mistakes, then they can help, they do help a lot of people. And as you quite rightly said, just sharing it. Like, what are the ideas for this business piece of show? I love talking about business and making money.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'll tell you about the model, tell you about the numbers.
It's exciting.
Then you start drawing over. I'm like, oh, you know what? Ideas just come out.
Yeah.
And I've always learned that one of the things we took off at one point, I put people in a private Facebook group back in the day when that actually worked. And someone at VaynerMedia, Gary V's company, told me, just go live in a private Facebook group. Add everyone who's ever bought your course in and just go live in the morning. It's like, talk about what? He's like, just talk about anything. I was like, I literally put my phone in my car when I drove to the gym in the morning and ranted away about different topics.
Yeah.
And then people watched me doing that. And then we then did, it was back in the day, Skype.
Oh my
I did
gosh.
Skype calls one-to-one with people, low cost. But then they watched me like delivering value to people who not necessarily in the budget that could afford to hire.
Yeah.
But then they were like, I don't want to talk about my things publicly or in the private group. I want to do it privately. I'm like, yeah, no problem. It's X.
Yeah.
And then all of the, because they'd already seen me do the job.
Yeah.
So I don't have to tell anybody. When I'm convincing, they've already seen it. So show, don't tell. One of my massive ethos is just show them.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying. Just do the thing anyway. So then by the time
that's very much how I win my business. I don't compete against other agents now because I document what I do on Instagram. I put value on Instagram. So I put a video the other day and I was trying to tell people that you shouldn't just have one strategy and be tunnel vision with a property. Because if you're going down the route of social housing, if the council put a stop to it, what are you going to do? If it doesn't work as a normal single let for you, or if you can't turn it into serviced accommodation, you're stuck with a house you can't let then. And I find that people already know me, already see that I'm competent in what I do through me posting just everything I'm up to. I've won the business before I've even walked through the door.
Powerful eyes.
Yeah.
I've got a property mentor, certainly did back in the day. He's a former fighter jet pilot in the RAF.
Cool.
And he used to train fighter jet pilots in the RAF.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is smart and like competent, capable, just very, very good.
Yeah.
Anything he puts his mind to, clearly. And one of the things I really liked about him, we started talking about property stuff, was he didn't necessarily always know the answer because you have to work them out the answer. But he'd, off the top of his head with an iPad, was like, what if that was that? And then we're going to pay that for the property. Let's assume fees, legals, this, that. Well, then square footage with that and to do that thing, probably going to be looking at that. And the way he worked out and the way you could hear him just going through means that you know how to do due diligence on a deal and look at stuff. And then furthermore to that, he then taught me, and this I've taken this concept away from property and into everything else. Don't try and prove why it's a good idea. Try and disprove why it's a good idea.
Yeah.
He said they need 3 ways out of a property deal. So yeah, you think you're going to do that, mixed use, that commercial unit, flat sets up, and then that deal goes and this happens and you don't get the change of use. And this other thing, how are you going to get out of the deal?
Yeah.
Because they literally put a massive development together in 2019.
Oh dear.
And then he lived in one of the houses in 2019, and then 2020 came.
Yeah.
And he was sat with like £6.6 million house all around him for 5 or 6 houses, proper premium houses in,
wow.
Nice, not far away from you actually. And he was like, fuck.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
They just got out of the deal like without losing any money after like.
That's lucky. Very
skillful.
Wow.
Look, and I think, yeah.
Just looking at this situation, pivoting and
limbo.
Yeah.
A bit of, that. Bless him, I did well, thankfully, to get out of that. But I think it's really true that you have to really understand the downside and the risk, because I don't think people do. I think, as you say, listen to property gurus on the internet and go, I can do that. And pay for a course, go on a weekend, do the same strategies, ring up letting agents and whatever else they're trying to do. And then it's like, yeah, but there's a little bit of missing part they've missed out. It's
stopping people and saying, have you thought about this? And then they go quiet and then I can see their brain going. And they're like, no. I haven't even thought about that. And then that's where they're like, you're quite valuable because I didn't think about that. And I'm thinking, yeah, for me, it's something I think about really easily, but the average landlord wouldn't necessarily think of all these things. So it's my job to kind of slow the brakes on things sometimes and say, just look at the whole situation. Don't just tunnel vision your property.
So how many, let me go back. I had a question. You said someone asked you, a landlord who's got 20 buy-to-lets. How much rent on average would those 20 be doing each?
I would say, so they're Tamworth based. I would say on average, the rents will be somewhere between £800 and £900 a month.
So just for the sake of maths, let's call it £1,000. And 20, so that's 20 grand a month they're doing in rental income.
Yes.
And they pay you percentage off that gross 20?
So I take 10% of the 20.
So you get $2,000.
Yeah.
Per month?
Per month, yeah.
For managing that kind of portfolio?
Yes.
And then what kind of work goes it? So, and how many have you currently got? And I don't know, you haven't got those, but how many have you currently got, like, yourself managing?
Yeah, so at the moment I've got I think 42.
42?
Yes.
And obviously we can't round it up the math. Some around that, all that kind of ish, that kind of model?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm very lucky that where I'm based, I get what I call the bread and butter. So I get the terraces that are just so easy to let. They don't take much time. They're on average, the rents are about $750 on a terrace. And then I get the really nice, I've done a bungalow for $2,500. And I get the odd big one as well. So they kind of counteract each other. I've got a really nice mixed portfolio, which is good.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what's your goal? So you've been trading 12 months effectively. You got 42 properties at that kind of thing. How many team members have you got? What's the plan to scale? Are you going to scale? What's your kind of...
So they're all really great questions. So I did have 2 business partners, one of them being the friend I mentioned, that set the business up for me, helped me at the beginning so that I could still work. And we got to a point where it wasn't planned, that we thought, actually, they need to focus on their Airbnb management company. I've ended up growing the lettings business quicker than we thought. I should just do that. They should go back to managing their Airbnb management company. So I ended up buying them out. So that was never the plan, though. We were just very flexible and sort of pivoted to anything that came our way. We just got to a point where actually we're going to not do what we were going to plan to do and do it together. We'll still support each other, still friends with each other, but do it separately, just because I am the lettings person and they are the Airbnb management people. So when you ask me about plans, my honest answer is I don't actually know. And that's my biggest weakness, actually, is planning for the future in terms of goals. So,
even though you said you're a planner?
I'm very organised. So when it comes to organising things and planning things as such as, you know, I can look at my portfolio and I can plan when all the gas certs are due and all the maintenance, etc. I'm very organised and planned in that sense. But personally, when it comes to goal setting, I can't do it. Or yeah,
can't do it.
Can't. I stopped myself there.
You did, actually. Yeah, you did.
I think that's because I've just watched Matthew McConaughey on Diary of a CEO. He gets in trouble for saying can't. That's what's just stopped me.
His dad said you're just finding it difficult.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
we're having trouble.
Yeah, because my ex-business partner did sit down with me and we did try and put goals together for the business.
So
I couldn't do it.
Or he was not he was not the mentor / coach that you needed in that moment.
That's interesting.
Because I'm going to see. So we can bleep this out if you want. What's the total revenue that you're doing monthly at the moment?
Revenue wise, it's all changed. I've just taken on a load of properties. I'd say.
Well, give me September's and then give me October's. So I've got context. September
would be October. So it's not much. It's still a very, very small business.
Any team?
Just me.
So you're paying yourself PAYE. This show is a Podfirst production. Podfirst specialise in cinematic, high-quality video media production and podcasts, including projects such as viral social media content for business owners and entrepreneurs, internal communications for organisations, and charity incentives like Homeless FC. Managing and directing the project from start to finish. So whether it's pre- and post-production, branding, guest selection and booking, set design, social media strategy, marketing and management, the list continues. Whether you're a business owner or an organisation, Podfirst is here to help you to achieve your objectives and your vision. If any of this sounds like you, then you can visit Podfirst at www.podfirst.com. That's www.podfirst.com.
I wasn't originally, so I've only just taken some money out of the business.
Are you taking proper wage or are you doing the nonsense tax number? 2024?
Proper wage, yeah. I always say this, I'm a letting agent, not a business person. I'm learning to be a business person. I'm growing into it.
Yeah, who was I talking to the other day? Oh yeah, I was talking to someone yesterday. He's got a great business, doing a couple of million a year. And I was like, what's the number to draw? He's like, I was like, obviously I get well. I said, I love that part of it.
Yeah.
Business, sales, money, marketing, the actual thing, that their business. I've got no interest in that hospitality side of it.
Yeah.
None. I'm like, but why can't we put some recurring revenue in? Why about this? And what? He's like, well, you quadrupled the business. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it right now.
It's almost like puzzle building, sort of putting pieces together. And
it's like I wouldn't expect to know anything that you know about properties, because you wouldn't expect to know what I know. That's the whole point of.
But I bet you could come into my business and go, do this, do that, do that,
without a shadow of a doubt.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's applied knowledge, though, isn't it? And experience.
Yeah.
And confidence.
Yeah. That's why I originally partnered up with somebody. So there was 3 of us, and we're all completely different to each other. So there was me, who's the letting agent with the lettings experience, Richard, who is as smart as anything. So he's spreadsheets, data, finance, that side of the business. And then there's Dan, who's so connected and master problem solver that he was business development. So the reason all 3 of us went into business is because we all complemented each other.
Makes sense. But now it's just you.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, oh, you've asked me questions that would have been a Richard answer. He would have answered that, not me. So I'm learning to fulfill those roles as well.
Yeah, you go. So how much at capacity are you personally, by managing 42 properties?
I would say it's scaling very quickly. I would say I'm coming up to capacity now. If we look at your typical estate agents, you normally work on the basis that a property manager, so that's a letting agent who deals with anything once a tenant has moved in, so all the maintenance, rent increases, renewals, can manage on average 100 to 120 properties.
Like what I do is I plan the pathway, remove the money from it, because everyone goes, oh, revenue. Just let's think, what's the pathway? Well, first of all, if you were to step up more like into your personal brand, networking, building the business, growing the business by all the things you're currently doing, but pushing more on those things, knowing now how to get that to turn into revenue, which you do, then we need someone to do you need another one of you. Lettings agent, manager, whatever the word is, probably an executive. You then would then train that person. And then you'd look at the person you'd hire. I would say at this moment would be the hire ideally would be someone who's going to stay with you for the next 10 years and be your letting manager. Yeah. Ideally. Okay. That's obviously an ideal world. And so then I would say, how do you hire a full-time person to do that? And then could they do the admin instead of that person that you think about hiring? My mind would go, if the unicorns are a thing, and I could get that person, I'd do that. Okay. Well, but I couldn't support their revenue, so their wages. I need X, Y. Okay, well then we have a problem to solve. Yeah. So if you start with the vision, what you're trying to achieve, and we come back from the vision to the mission is to have, for example, I'd be thinking, how do I double the amount of properties I have for fees within the next 12 months? Then I'd be like, well, if I do it in a month, I'll do it in a month. So then I go, if I had that, I now have a gap of 42 properties. Yeah. So the problem gap is, how do I get more 42 properties? Well, the problem is I need to go to X more networking events, or I need to get more landlords who've got more property portfolios in one go, and then I'll do that. But then I've got an onboarding problem and a delivery problem. Yeah. So if I solve the delivery problem, or I have that pending, because that's the problem I need to deliver, then all I need to do is do this bit and the timing. Yeah. And then just make sure we can cover it financial cash flow. Hence why I've written first hire, cash flow, personal brand.
I love this. This is brilliant.
And I've gone automation, because really a lot of that admin stuff can be done by automation. Yeah. Technology.
I'm halfway there with it. Yeah.
So it's like, it's chicken and the egg. And then also, I've written here as well, after plug the post about the coaching and the mentoring, because I think that's revenue for things you're doing already. Yeah. So like, what happens if you're doing a good job, which sounds like you are, when you WhatsApp people and say, hey, I'm testing a theory. If I was to put a low cost kind of community together, you get access to me, you get this, you get pretty much what you get now, but I'm also going to do a quarterly or monthly breakfast, brunch, or evening thingy, which I know kind of you do some stuff anyway, but more like a round table or this or this. It's £20, £40, £100 a month. Would you say yes to that, just out of curiosity? Or if you wouldn't say yes to that, what would you say yes to?
Yeah. Ask the question.
Ask the question.
I always say, if you don't ask, the answer's always no.
Amen to that. Yeah. You might, they never do it. Well, I might as well get them to say no then, might you?
Yeah. I don't mind being told no.
Good, yeah. So that's what I'm at, because if you think that, so now, let's just pretend all those things are happening. What is the pathway for you to double the properties over the next 12 months?
It's a great question. You really put me on the spot here. I like it. I suppose at that point then I'd be looking at, it's not necessarily always number of properties. It can be
quality
of properties. Yeah.
Yep. So interesting though, because you've just diluted the question straight away. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you a different question.
Okay.
If I said you're going to lose the 42 properties on the morning at 9 a.m. in 3 months' time.
Yeah.
So you have 90 days and you are going to lose that 42 properties, and all that revenue is going to come with that. What would you do now, knowing what you know now versus what you knew when you first started to grow those 42?
Yeah.
What would you do today, knowing that you got 90 days and you got zero revenue?
I would, if I've only got 90 days, I would target. I don't like the word target. That sounds very salesy. But I would go for the landlords that are coming to me and saying, I need help with this, I need help with that. And working with them more closely and just making them see value in an agent.
Making them see value.
Yeah.
Isn't value, if value is valuable enough, just clear?
I don't know. I don't think people see value sometimes. Or it's not presented correctly. So I get a lot of landlords come to me and say, I don't want to use a letting agent. They do nothing. What do they do for the management fee? That's probably the biggest pushback I get. What do you even do for your 10%? And I go, well, I monitor that the rent comes in.
But already, right, you're starting to you're proving that they're point because you're trying to justify it. Mm-hmm. If I said to you, do you think this conversation is valuable right now?
I'd say yeah.
And if I said, would you pay for it?
Yeah.
And if I said then, if I started now saying, but I've done this and look how good I am, and you'd be like, as soon as I now start to lean in to convince you, you'd lose the position in that. I'd lose the position.
Okay, that's interesting.
Like, well, take it, fucking leave it. I'm just making up the stuff as I go along. Take it, leave it, don't take it.
Yeah.
I'm just here to help you.
Yeah.
Want it, don't want it. Whereas as soon as you start going, well, I'm justifying why my fees are that, don't pay it, mate, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it.
I don't mean I ask you, it's like this, that like, with or without your energy. I'm grabbing property portfolio.
Yeah.
I'm taking on this amount of people. I'd love you to be one. If you don't want to be because you don't see the value, then I am doing not a good enough job expressing that value to you.
Yeah.
Versus some people don't see the value. What that really means is I have not found a way
to show you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because then all the power is back in your hands to then do more. To show them.
Yeah.
Because already I'm convinced already from even actually the first 20 minutes of talking that there's something more than something, there's a lot in what you're talking about here about the way you're just approaching this whole thing. Because probably haven't made any offers to these people for them to pay for anything. Mm. Therefore, they can't say yes or no. You've not made an offer.
Correct.
And more importantly, you haven't put your personal brand yet, from what it sounds like, into a targeted way to monetize it. You're just serving people.
Yeah.
So as you keep giving to the audience, that equity, you're growing your brand equity. And then you haven't put a funnel at the bottom of it to say, hey, I haven't shaken the tree yet.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
So when you say over 90 days, what will you do? First of all, ask people if they'll give you their money. Yeah.
So simple, isn't it?
Really?
But that's not what you think when you get asked that question.
Emotions come in and start looking at realistically otherwise. Like, or just go, does anybody want to give me any money? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I saw that on something. Somebody did that. I can't remember if it was some guy had gone to a conference and he stood up and he said, my business hasn't gone as well as I thought it would, but we provide a great service. How do I grow it? And he said, I've spent my last £300 coming to this event to find out how I can fix it. And the person holding the conference says to him, so where did you sleep last night? Because you travelled like 8 hours to get here. It was in America, I think. He said, I slept in my car last night. And he says, right. He says, so ask the people in this room if they've got any money to give you. And he just stands there, doesn't say anything. He's like, what? That's really awkward. And the guy goes, ask the people in this room if they'll help you, if they'll give you some money. And so he kind of awkwardly turns around and says, like, does anybody have any money they want to give to me? Or do you want to have my service? And so many people stood up and they were like, I could find value in you, yes. And they wouldn't have stood up and spoke to him if he hadn't have stood up and asked. And it's a very on the spot example, but that guy walked out of that room literally with arms full of cash, because people were just putting like notes in his hand. Wow. And he was taking a list of names of people to speak to and sell his business to, but because he didn't ask for it, he didn't get it.
Powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I think as well, when you were just talking there, I think what came to me is that people aren't making offers, like we just said, not talking to people, not asking them for to do business. But I also think that they're not understanding and putting themselves in the position of the other person. So therefore, if that's true, let's play this out. You looking to replace the 42 properties you have in terms of revenue in the next 90 days, to double the business if you did that from this moment. So you double your revenue if you did that. What is the thing that they, the target audience, so these landlords, what do they want? Not you. They don't want you. They don't want you to manage their properties. What do they actually want as a result of you doing that? There is actually an answer. There's two answers, but there is a definite answer.
Oh. See, these are the types of questions I really struggle with.
I can tell you if you want. It's easy.
Go on.
Money or time?
Yeah.
So everything always comes, and really what comes, time is money. So it's always money.
Yeah.
When anyone asks you any question, it's always money. Just the default answer is always money. And people can avoid that question, or avoid that answer as much as they like. It always comes back to money.
Yeah.
Because after money comes all the things that money can do. And that then comes freedom and impact and meaning.
Yeah. Yeah.
But meaning is something we define, which means whatever we want. So that's a whole philosophy conversation we can go into. But it's either money or time.
Yeah.
So if you were to ask, who can your services, your experience, your help enable the most to make more money or get more time back?
And then that would be who to focus on.
So if you've got a landlord who's got 20 properties who's making 20 grand a month, now if they could make 22, 24, 28, 20, 34, can I have a bit? So if I said to you, if I help you to double your revenue in the next 90 days, which would be £11,000 a month, which would be £111,000 a year. That wouldn't be 100 and whatever those. What, can I have a little bit of it?
I'd say yeah.
No brainer.
Yeah. It's all about how
frame.
Yeah. Yeah.
So instead of saying, hey, can you give me something? I'm like, why? Well, because I can help you. I'm a letting agent and I'm really good and I can.
Yeah.
If I help you, you should tell me here that you've got 20 properties and that's £1,000 of rent and that. So if I can help you to either make more revenue or keep more revenue by not paying on the gas and paying this and paying this and paying that, would that make sense for you?
Yeah.
They'll say, like, if you can help me to make an extra £4,000 a month, I'd happily give you £1,000 or £500 or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that's so helpful for me, because I go to people and say, you need to run your property like a business. This is how I can help you do it and make you more money. But I don't frame it like that.
So what is it called when you are running, you just said there, you tell people to turn their property, insert word, to a property business. What's the insert word? Hobby?
Yeah.
Job? Some catchy marketing word. Because if you then said, this is my mentorship coaching offer, first one I'm doing, I'm going to really spend a lot of time close with these people to help them in, like, we're going to start in, what's the date on Monday? 19th?
Oh, don't put me on the spot.
20. We're going to start on the 20th of October, 2025. We're going to kind of play into Christmas and stuff. Hopefully we're not going to have any voids. Hopefully we're going to have issues. And then we're going to almost ramp up for 2026, January to December. So we're going to have like 13 months or 14 months. We're going to get ready. Then we're going to go through January. And I'm going to help you to turn your property hobby business job into a property business, because I run a lettings agency and I work with landlords and I do X, Y, and Z, and I know, and you know, because you keep asking me questions. Yeah. If you want me to help you on this X step process, I've got an even better idea.
This is brilliant.
This is what we'd hoped to happen, actually. This is going way better than I thought. Okay, I'm going to come back. So tell me The 3 biggest, you see what now, this is one of your mum moments, isn't it? It's the same fucking template. What is the 3 biggest problems? Think about that landlord, the one with the 20 properties, Tommy. What is the 3 biggest problems that she currently has by running her business, not like a property business? And it didn't have to be her, but I'll just use her as an example because you told me that.
Just so I've understood the question, what 3 things does she have?
So, if you thought about all the landlords who currently ask you, and you're like, you need to run this as a business.
Yeah.
What are the 3 biggest things they're doing wrong?
Okay.
Currently.
Being too emotionally invested in the tenants.
And what does being too emotional lead them to do?
Not put rents up. Or not move on tenants that need to be served notice.
Perfect. Too emotional because of those reasons. What's the next one?
Not being compliant.
What does that mean?
So they haven't registered their deposits.
Oh, that's an issue.
Or they've let a gas cert overrun, but don't worry, it's only by 2 weeks.
Because I got an email actually from the DPS a couple of days ago, last week, of an address I lived at a long time ago. And I'm like, I wonder if they owe me money. Obviously, this never happens. Usually I get a massive bill from 2000 or whenever, like, oh yeah, that 200 grand.
Like you're thinking, oh my God.
I wonder if anyone gave me back my deposit. I'm like, I'm not even going to bother logging in. It's like one of the times they tell you to win the lottery.
I bet it was about 600 quid back then.
Probably, yeah. I was like, can't get the password, 2-factor authentication. It was like 7 hours will be spent. I'm like, oh, it's 49 pence.
Yeah.
Not compliant. So gas, the deposit stuff, not compliant, which is causing risk.
Yeah.
Fines.
Yeah.
Stress. Last problem.
So I've said emotional. I've said compliance. I'm going to struggle with the third one.
Okay, so let's just play the example out. So if you are a landlord now who is struggling to, so what's the outcome they want? If they were to put the rent up and were able to be compliant, would that immediately increase the revenue in their property portfolio?
It gives them better exits as well.
Better exit?
Yeah. So if they have a fully compliant property and they get a market rent for it, they could sell it easier with a tenant in situ, or they could serve notice on the tenant and not arrive at any problems if they have to go to court for not serving paperwork.
This is clever.
I do a lot of business where my investor friends buy tenanted properties, and then I work on essentially making the tenancies healthier by increasing the rents to market rates, making sure they're compliant. And then my investor friends will either keep the houses or they'll sell them on again. Because if you're an investor,
no, please carry on, tell me.
Sorry, if you're an investor and you've got a 2-bed terraced house and you've got a tenant that's been in there for 25 years and they're still paying £500 per calendar month, but next door is exactly the same house and that landlord's getting 800, which house are you going to want to buy? Or if it's not compliant, if you want to move the tenant on and refurb the property and have it revalued and remortgage it, can you do that because you don't know if that tenancy is compliant? If you haven't served the prescribed information when the tenant moved in, it might go all the way to court and then you can't get the tenant out and then you're stuck with the tenant paying £500 per calendar month.
Clever. And I'm sure they never even think about that stuff.
They always think, well, Mr. Jones has been in there. He's been a lovely tenant.
That's not really true, right? They might think that. I bet a massive percentage of them are saying that nonsense emotional story because they're scared. I haven't got the confidence to go to court because I'm not sure if I've done anything I should have done.
But even just with increasing rents, I've had landlords where I've worked previously where they don't want the tenant out. They're not thinking of selling, but they've got a single mum with 2 kids and they feel sorry for her. They wanted to have a nice home. They don't personally need any extra money from the property. Say they've already retired and it's just something they've got on the side. The issue comes is when the mortgage rates jumped up, they were paying more on the property than the rent was bringing in. And now they're in a position where they're forced to increase the rent. But the issue is that property that single mum is paying £500 for is now worth 900. You can't you can't put a £400 increase in one go.
It's the gradual.
It's gradual.
You're getting caught in that trap.
But then it doesn't. Your mortgage increase isn't gradual. That just jumps up. So I had a load of landlords that had to exit because they couldn't afford the mortgages on the properties. Or if you do need to serve notice to a tenant and they're so used to paying £500 for a 3-bed semi, just as an example, they now won't move on as easy because every other house they're applying for is double the price. So really you're helping the tenant. Of course, you're helping the tenant by keeping that rent healthy, even if it's a £25 increase once a year, as long as it's in market alignment.
And again, that's from the frame after you've corrected it, framing it from the beginning that, 25% or £25 a year, because no one bothered. Well, if you said at the beginning, like every year we're going to put this up £25 because of this, that inflation, you're like, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and it's manageable.
And it's expected.
Yeah.
Versus like, hey, we're going to put your bill up. Like, what? Yeah. Because it'd be the day where they have this other thing happen and their car broke down and then they're like, well, we've got £25, can't believe it.
Yeah.
Emotional.
Yeah.
So back to this. If landlords are struggling to do the things you just said, too emotional, so therefore they're not putting the rents up, and therefore the issues that come, you've just said, you've just literally articulated everything perfectly there. Not compliant, therefore these things are happening there. Then if you're a landlord who wants to go from that position, the negative version of this, to then what happens if you have this all sorted? So tell me, if you were to correct, which I think you already have actually, but in a sense, we basically just listed the problems, the consequence of those problems, and the then knock-on impact.
Yeah.
And so instead of doing that, insert the word instead into the template, you need to do this instead. And then you talk about how you're going to do the rent increase. Now you might, as you said, serve with knowledge, which you are, give them all the information.
Yeah, which I'm guilty of.
No, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Give them all the information, but remember what I said at the beginning. Get them to pay for implementation.
Yes.
Because if I said to you right now, cool, so this is really great, I'll give you the information, knock yourself out. You do technically know what I've said.
Yeah.
How are you going to do it?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's being accountable to it as well.
Accountable to it.
Because I could just take all this home with me and be thinking about it on my drive home. That doesn't mean I'm going to think about it tomorrow.
Or you might, because you're obviously a go-getting person.
Oh, I would, but not everybody would.
But then still, even you being a go-getting person, there's a lot of landlords who are go-getting people who are doing well, but they still don't necessarily know how to actually execute it.
Yeah.
Which is therefore then they pay for implementation. What was that thing you said at that part here? Oh, well, you need to do this bit. That's the bit they're asking you for help with, implementation.
Yeah.
And that's what you could charge them for.
Yeah.
So this is basically essentially the beginning of your a coaching offer. What's the problems they're having right now? How is that showing up for them? What's the impact of that? And if you didn't have that, what would that look like?
Yeah.
So if they were to then do the rent increase calculator, if you had 750 property, it's in £750 rent, and all of them went to 800, just a £50 increase across 20.
Big chunk of money.
More money.
And what do they want? Money.
So if I could help you to do that, and that's just one part I'll be able to help you to do, as well as making sure you're compliant with your gas and just get everything systemized, documented, and running like a business, then all that extra value you just mentioned is almost free. Because if I could put X thousands onto your revenue by helping you to increase the rents, whilst being compliant, whilst getting systemized, whilst getting some of your time back, money and time, would you give me £300 a month as your property mentor person?
And it sounds like a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer if they're not
absolute
a retard.
No-brainer. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So how many people, I don't know, I've made it £300. What's reasonable? What kind of revenue do you think you would increase for these people? And again, it depends on their property portfolio.
Oh, yes, because some people literally have one and some people have
So how could you
50.
work out you do it on everything else. How do you work out your fees based on how many properties you have? As in, so for example, if you charge me £300 based on the fact I've got 10 properties, so I'd be saving £3,000 a month or making £3,000 a month, and you paid me 300, whichever way one of the example was, I pay you 10% of how much I help you to make. So not managing your property.
Yeah.
Now, how much I help you to make. So if you've got this amount of properties and you do this amount of increase versus volume is equals Lottie's fee.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah.
But then you could say, well, you're going to make 300, you're going to make 500 grand or 5 grand in your case, maybe a bit smaller businesses, 5 grand. Just give me 200. They're like, well, I've just kept it. So then you can keep a recurring model. It's not based on percentage.
Yes.
So there's lots of ways to play this out. We can test this with your audience. Like which one lands? Bigger ones will be like, great. Smaller ones will be like, I really want to just kind of know what the fee is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's flexible. So you might be like £99 for those people, kind of the light option.
Yeah.
The ones who are doing significant revenue, they're like, well, yeah, percentage makes sense because I'm just going to make more money.
Yeah, definitely.
So what would you realistically think if I said to you over the next 2 weeks, come up with this? What would you actually go out and offer them? What price point?
I suppose just given what you said and trying to take that in as well, potentially, just off the top of my head, is offering, say, a set fee up until a certain point and
certain revenue increase from them.
Yeah. And
so
then maybe a percentage.
I charge you £200 a month until you've achieved this money back or this kind of number or this kind of rent roll.
Yeah. Almost like a minimum fee. There's like a minimum fee and then anything over that.
Like you're kind of a commission model where you pay the base.
Yeah. Because that's what I do with let-only properties when I don't manage them.
They're used to paying as well, probably. They're used to paying a set fee.
Yeah.
And maybe a setup fee. You could say, oh, this is an interesting one. You could charge a setup fee, and again, this is the offer playing around. When you text it to them or speak to them, they go, oh my God, that sounds amazing. So it's a setup fee, which would be like you set on board people.
Yeah.
A setup fee of £199, which covers you, or I'm just making this up, it could be £199, it could be £199 a month, it could be like £300, £500 for 3 months.
Yeah.
We're going to onboard you into my system, the Lottie property system.
It's a good name.
Good name. Where you've got all the gas certification stuff, you've got all the DPS, how to do this, how to do that, how this happens, like little videos maybe that just explain, go to this website, do this thing, how you enter the stuff, blah, 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 how you increase rent, how you do this. Charge them the upfront setup fee to get from zero from where they are now to implementing these things, hand-holding them throughout the process.
Yeah.
And then an ongoing fee that's a percentage of things after that.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, that's very much how I charge my fees for lettings.
So how many people in your current world could you send, if you type that out into a WhatsApp message, could you say, hey, I'd love to see if I could serve you more. I'm kind of coming up to my capacity, so I'm not going to bring a team member into the team. And so I'm looking at how I can serve my audience, my customers more. If I could offer you one of these 3 things, which one would the one you'd prefer to hear more about, if any at all? This option, this option, this option. How many people do you think you could send that kind of message to that would be genuinely potentially want to buy from you?
I'd say at least 20.
So if you could get half of those people, so 50%, 10 people to pay you 300.
Yeah.
I think it's reasonable.
I think that's affordable.
But it's not affordable, it's going to make more money.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So if you could do that, that's £3,000.
Yeah.
And that's then started. You just got a base then.
And then it snowballs from there, really, doesn't it?
This has been really cool.
That's been so helpful. The amount of people who have said, and it's only been recently, say in the last 4 weeks, you should start coaching. You should think about coaching.
I think you should call it men. I would lean away from saying coaching just because everyone's a property guru.
Yeah.
I would just be like...
I think coaching is something you type into Google.
Yeah.
And then you find a coach that way. It needs to be more...
I think you're doing a great job. Your funnel is basically you being you, personal brand, and then networking events, podcasts, social media copy, and content. No brainer.
Yeah. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
I think you should carry on with your personal branding play, and obviously to put in some time. And I know how to do that. Obviously, the coaching stuff. This stuff is, as you can see, know how to do it. I think you should go and write a message after you get off here. Be breezy. Don't be like, obviously not say breezy. Like, hey, if I can add more value and do something like this, I'd be really interested to see what people come back and say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'd be then like, let's put a fucking checkout page straight out.
Yeah.
And then run that, see how that actually goes, and then just make it public. And once we've done, because I think there's going to be, you can easily put some videos in a training portal that shows how to do some of these things.
Absolutely, almost like a hub.
Yeah. So then it's like, check this out, because then you've always got two strands. As you get your training for this person to come in, you're almost making the content for your person internally, where you do it for you.
Yeah.
We do it for you, where then the team just do what your videos say, or the landlord does it themselves.
Yeah.
So
and you've got two income streams from both. Yeah.
Done for you, do it yourself. And then when you kind of help them a bit, it's done with you.
Yeah.
So this is like the one where it's like you're getting a percentage fee.
Yeah.
That's the do it yourself, which is like a digital course, just pay whatever, hundreds for that. Log in and just help yourself. The one they want to come and ask you, they've watched the content, but they're like, so in my exact scenario, that's done with you.
Yeah.
Which is where you can leverage the shit out of it.
Yeah.
That's where masterminds come in and digital.
I don't know any other letting agent that does this.
No.
I might be wrong, but
I've not seen it. The person I mentioned, he did this back in the day, like, but he knows his stuff, right? So therefore, I paid him a fortune. Loads.
Yeah, I see a lot of people doing it for investing and what to buy, and
you're serving a sort of really interesting niche of the audience who are in that pocket of don't quite want an agent but kind of want something.
Yeah,
this is all the stuff that you need, but then it's how you can leverage your time, because you could have hundreds and more than hundreds of people doing that, because you don't need lots of you. It's leveraged.
Yeah. Thank you.
There you go. Cool.
That's been great.
Amazing.